Here, because when you find out what they've done, you're going to be very excited too. Thank you for joining us. Give these girls a round of applause to get started. My name is Evelyne. I work as a stunt performer, and today I'm excited. I got to have the honor of running the panel, so this is very, very cool for me. Sitting next to me right now is the lovely Amanda Cass, Victoria Lee, Emely Tung, and Alejandra Guevara. There you go. They're all martial artists, and they do other things as well in stunts. To get started, Amanda, let's start with you since you have the mic in your hand. Tell us how you got involved in stunts.
Well, a big part of my story is this girl standing next to me. So I grew up doing martial arts and, watching action movies and everything. And I always knew I wanted to fight on screen. I just didn't know what it was called. So actually, about 2016, 2017, I ended up working on like a small indie film, and I met her. And then she introduced me to a bunch of other people in New York and Connecticut, and the rest is kind of history.
Pretty cool. Let's pass the mic down and let's hear everyone's story.
So my background is also martial arts, and I grew up performing on the demo team. We would perform for local audiences and stuff. And I always loved fight choreography and just creating and the art behind everything. And after trying college and hating it, I realized that I really just wanted to pursue martial arts as a career. So I came across a stunt school in Seattle, and I ended up going, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so that's kind of...
I grew up doing wushu and taekwondo, and then I think in middle school I sort of feel like there was no performance outlet for martial arts, so I decided to do breakdancing instead. And then in college I picked up parkour, because I'm just like everyone. I wanted to be like the female Jackie Chan. I wanted to be like Michelle Yeoh from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons. It's kind of like the things that made me say, oh, I want to do Hollywood. But I always thought that action filmmaking was just for actors. So I actually pursued acting first, while dancing and doing all this other stuff and varsity sports and whatnot. And then I found out after working as a dancer for a little while that stunts is its own category. And once I was introduced to me, I realized that for me it's much better to do the thing I'm obsessed with and always training for, instead of trying to fight for acting spots and roles that may not even speak to me, because I truly was just interested in action films. So that is kind of what got me into the business.
For me, was only when I was in China. My friend invited me to a workshop, and I thought that was only martial art, and in a way I found out that it was stunts training. And that day I found out that was the kind of job that I would like to do, and it's something that also inspired me to do, because it's not just training, and it's not only punches and kicks, it's something else. It's also part of acting, because not only if you fall, that's enough. You also need to take part, and welcome.
Emely Cartagena is in the house, give it up.
And yeah, like that, I found out by casualty, and I love it.
Emely, so welcome Emely, she's amazing. I was talking about you before you got here.
Oh my God.
Another one of our friends. Emely, what we were just talking about was, how did you get into stunts?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, long story short. I'm from Puerto Rico. I started there. My background is Taekwondo. I was active competitive in Taekwondo back then, and I just started as a hobby there. And then when I moved here to New York, I wasn't looking to do stunts at all. I was just I just need to do my career as an environmental scientist. And then suddenly I just started training with Roberto Lopez. He's a big stunt coordinator and amazing talent rigger. And then I started with training with him, and then yeah, that's how I kind of like started to like get the ground of what is stunts, and obviously for using my skills, which is fighting and kicks and all that stuff.
And she's an incredible fighter, okay? Emely, since you have the mic, let's talk about your favorite job, like the highlight of your career so far. I know you've had a lot, because she's really a working, all of them. But tell us about like the highlight of your career right now.
I believe the first big feature job was Uncharted for me, like was a big stunt doubling job for me, and I was completely green. I had no idea what's gonna happen, you know. I was like, what is gonna happen here? So the team was completely professional, and you know, they knew what they were doing. And for me, it was a lot of pressure, especially for that big crew. And I think I used a lot of wires. I used a lot of like running, like free running, like parkour, and that was a good experience for me. And it was 8 months abroad in Germany. And then we went to Spain. We shoot there like a month, and yeah, I think that was the biggest like challenge for me. And I grew so much in that job. I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Amazing. And Emely and I worked on Black Panther together too, so that was kind of cool. We worked on Black Panther together.
Yes, that was fun.
Let's pass the mic on, and Alejandra, what's been the highlight for you so far?
Okay, so for me, I want to say thank you, because Emely gave me that opportunity. I was in a movie, remember? It's called Miguel's Wants to Fight, and I didn't know. She just texted me. I think she was super busy, you know, and she just said like, hey, if you are available, just go there. So I found out that I was doing a martial version of Frida Kahlo. So that was so nice, because she's a Mexican. I think she drew, and she's part of our Latin history. So that's something that I really want to say thank you, and I make it public now. So so I think that was and that was my first big thing in New York since I moved here 2 years ago.
Mine's a little personal. So I grew up watching Legend of Zorro. Like I would watch the replays on, I think it was HBO, right? I would watch every replay for like months, like years. And I always thought one day I want to become Catherine Zeta-Jones and fight Antonio Banderas on screen. Like my goal in life was to fight this guy on a movie. And this was like 2 years ago, I think. One weekend, I get a call. And they're like, are you available tomorrow to come to Connecticut? And I was like, oh, sure. Like, rearrange my whole life for a job, which is what we do a lot. And someone had caught COVID that was originally supposed to do this. So I ended up filling in the spot. And I get on set and I find out that I'm doing a fight with Antonio Banderas. And I'm like, oh, like shaking and excited, but like, no, I can't like show this on set. So I do this whole bar fight with him. I get to like get really close, like hand to hand, like he's pushing me against a wall, he hits a gun out of my hand, all kinds of, he throws bottles at me. I get to do a little bit of parkour over the bar, so that to me like was like everything that I worked for my whole life in one tiny moment. I think the best part was just the fact that I got to fight him. So yeah, that's my highlight. And he on set had like briefly joked about like, oh, and then we kiss, like, and I like almost died. So there's mine.
So I think this is a tough question because I feel like I've been like blessed to have like a lot of highlights just because I love my job so much that like every time I work there's something, that I love. But I think my first job, which wasn't even necessarily like a big stunt, it was just like a boxing job for the show Smilf, and it was the job that tafted me into the union. So I had been like trying to get into the union for years. I had a few injuries, and it was just like I had felt like I was like every time I would get ahead a little bit, I'd get knocked back down. So that job was like, it made it like real to me, and like that was like, I think the most exciting just because like finally I was in the union, and then after that it was like things just aligned. And I've been able to do like, you know, a decent amount of really cool jobs. So aside from that, I think doing it, the first time I got to do like a real like fight scene was The Enemy Within, and it was like a fight scene in a train that was moving, and there was a lot of moving pieces. It was like 30 beats. They wanted it all in one take, and but it was like finally like I got to like put my martial arts, you know, and my fighting skills to use, because before that it was just a lot of like falling and hitting the ground. So I think that was probably like one of the most exciting things.
Yeah, I do agree with Victoria. It's a hard question to answer. I'm going to go over a couple of highlights for myself, though. One of them was a job that put me a little out of my comfort zone with some water stuff. And I know you're a water girl, but I'm not a water girl, so I had to talk to the coordinator prior to doing some of the stuff. Just to clarify, it was for John Mason up in New England. That was definitely a highlight. We did some drowning scenes and stuff like that, so that was pretty cool. Another one for me was a smaller project, but it was actually kind of something that I guess was like a childhood dream, because I got to work with Johnny Young Bosch, who was one of the original Power Rangers, and bring a character that he was developing to life. So that was pretty cool for me.
Nice, nice, I love it. And Victoria, Amanda, and Emily have worked together in video games, motion capture. So that's kind of cool too. We've all worked together at some point. I haven't worked with Alejandra yet, but you know, one of the things that's so cool for me right now is that these are my friends. And I love to hear their stories. I love to see them shine. It's just been incredible becoming friends with them. I give them another round of applause for them, please. So you know, we talked about the highlights. If you had any advice for an up-and-coming stunt performer, someone that, you know, when I got into stunts, I didn't know anybody. You know, my mom was always trying to talk me out of everything. You know, I can't even tell her stunts I do now. I had to tell her after I'm done with the stunt. I can't tell her before, though. It could be the smallest thing, too. There's always something. There'll be a shark in the water. You know, but so could you maybe give some advice to someone in the crowd that may be considering stunts? What do you think are the 3 strongest qualities you should hold? Amanda, you start.
Well, do you want us to each answer 3?
I see 3.
Okay, all right. Be able to learn. Learning is like the most important part of this. I've had to learn so much since I got started. So that's definitely number 1 for me. Number 2, be able to adapt. Things change on the fly. And also just be kind. Be nice to the people you're working with. You never know who you're in the room with, so just always be a good person. That's my 3 big ones.
Those are good ones.
Steal everybody.
So I think my 3 would be, since I can't choose those, I'd say, I know, good luck. I'd say definitely people need to do their research. Like, you know, whenever I get a new job, I'm always like making sure that I know. I mean, half the time we don't know what we're doing until we get there, but like just knowing who the coordinator is, knowing the background, making sure that any skills that you put on your resume, that you really know how to do those things, because a lot of the times some people lie and then they get there and they really don't know how to do what they're supposed to do. I think, so that would be 1. Learning how to work with other people's energy. There's a lot of times that you'll be working with, you know, an actor, another stunt person, and it's a fight and it's close and you guys both have to hit your marks, but you have to help each other out too. They can't be separated. Orlando over here is somebody that I've worked very closely with for things that, you know, certain stunts that are potentially dangerous, and he's also a fighter, and so like getting to know him and working with his energy is like, it's something that is like very important, because like, you know, we've had to fall down stairs together and tandem, and so we're both helping each other out. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna fall here, good luck with whatever you're doing, you know. Yeah, teamwork. And the third thing I would say is be on time. Like, make sure you put the work in and you're well-rounded, and like always, I think it's important to always like learn new skills and train different things so you know what you like, what you don't like what your limits are. And
Okay, I think mine has a lot of overlap, but that's because you probably covered like 6. But my first one is work ethic. So one of the things I've always gotten fairly good feedback for is my work ethic. That's the first thing people notice is I train really hard. I train almost every day. I get stuff done, like, and you know, things like showing up to set on time with all your gear, and just like having your shit together is super important, and it's very noticeable. Someone who is like really high work ethic versus someone who doesn't really care. Oftentimes, even if you're good, if you show up with that work ethic, people don't really want to work with you, or they just kind of, they'll write you off very quickly for that. Number 2 for me is, this is safety related, but I think it's having really good risk evaluation of the stunt overall. Not just your own ability, but your team's ability and your team like accountability. Like, you're super aware of each other's safety and how to fill in the holes if something goes wrong. Or even if you're just like, for me, I come from parkour. So when I train parkour, I test the stuff I'm gonna jump on. I don't say, oh, there's a cool rail, let me hop over it. The first time I did something like that, I hit my calf because the rail fell. So I always touch everything I'm about to jump on, jump off of. I make sure they don't move. I make sure they are weight tested. Like, maybe I can do it, but this man next to me with 30 extra pounds cannot do this on here. You know, like looking for anything that could go wrong. Is it wet here? Somebody just sweated and rolled on this vault box. Now when I step on it, I will slip, which has also happened to me before. So like everything that I can consider, I will. And I tell my team, oh, I think that might happen. Please watch this, or, you know. So that's my number 2. Number 3 is, I want to say this is like team player, but it's like having really good social skills. So I think for myself, the thing I constantly push myself to learn and get better at is my social skills, my networking skills, how to talk to different people with different personalities, especially the people who are very different from me. So I'm very straightforward. I'm good for New York. I say what's on my mind. I'm very transparent. But then there's people who don't like to hear stuff a certain way. So I have to learn how to communicate what's important without being offensive. And so to me, like getting my people skills, and I'm always like reading books on this. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm asking people, hey, do you work with this coordinator? Like, what is he like? What is he not like? You know, what do I have to be careful with? So it's just learning your people skills and like getting a sense of who people are even before meeting them, so you don't like rub them the wrong way off the bat. And I think, unfortunately, this industry is very like heavily on this social. Like everyone has a story about like somebody that like they might have burned a bridge with, or like somebody who took them the wrong way, or somebody who started talking something bad behind their backs. And you have to get really good at dealing with that too. So, you know, like knowing you will have haters, knowing you need thick skin, knowing no matter what the best job you can put out, someone will still say something bad about you. Even the best people I know that I respect and train with all the time have bad stories on them. And it's kind of up to you how you want to take that, right? I don't take every bad story like it's a truth. I know that everyone has bad stories, and it doesn't always mean they're bad. It doesn't always mean that's who they are. And there's people that I'll back no matter what happens. Like, I know who they are, so no matter what is said about them, I'm behind them. So, yeah, those are my 3.
Let's hold on one second. So I think we've covered some of those good things. I'd like to bring it back to, thank you, Emily. I agree and I don't agree about that. My brain just goes to positive all the time. So I think there's a lot of good in the industry. I think if you're a good person and you surround yourself by good people, things will be really, really good for you. So I tend to, go that route. But with Alejandra, I think, us being all, females here, let's talk about what it's like. I know this question was asked to me too. Let's talk about what it's like to be, a female an action hero, just being in this business. What is it like for you? For me, it's very empowering to get up there and be involved in a crew of 100 people watching me do my job. What does it feel like for you? And I want Emily to answer the same question afterward.
Well, I feel like it's like superpower. Like every training, everything that we do is like a superpower, because you show someone a fall, it's like, ooh, that hurts. It's like, no, it doesn't, because like you train for that. You train to be safe. So I think sometimes we are like, oh, you're not able to do that, but then like you can see here, like these girls and myself, we have like skills and abilities that like that make other people, especially women, be like, oh wow, I didn't know that I can do that. So actually seeing a woman represent us in like in movies, that make me feel like, oh wow, that's something that I want to do, and I feel like that, like it's like to have superpowers, like like maybe not with like VFX or something like that, but it's something close to be a superhero or a she-hero, right?
Yes. Emily, when you answer the question, I want you to also follow up with like one of the most coolest stunts you've done, because I've seen her reel and I'm like, wow, she's flying over this thing, doing that. So follow up with that, what it's like to how does it feel for you being a stunt woman, and follow up with like one of the coolest stunts you've done.
Yeah, I think it's a legacy for me, for like a representation of my Latinas community, and like all the little girls in Puerto Rico, they always been like watching me and saying, because it's since Taekwondo, since I was like starting Taekwondo, there's a lot of like, Taekwondo community, a lot of children's looking at you, looking out for you, and like as an example. And I feel like I took that legacy, and I still want to inspire all this Latinas and Puerto Rico, and everyone, every woman, every little girl or whatever. It feels very good to inspire them. Yeah, and the other follow-up question.
She's done a lot of cool things. They all have. So.
No, they all have. Yeah, the coolest stunt, I think, well, I was stunt doubling for Batgirl, Leslie Grace, and back in Scotland. Unfortunately, that film is not gonna come out. And we did a lot of risky stunts there. It was a lot. But I feel like there was a scene that I was behind this like fire truck, and the fire truck was like moving, and I was behind it, and I had like shoes that was like, I was literally skating on the ground with this like flat shoes all the way Glasgow, Scotland, behind this fire truck, and there was someone shooting fire, real fire, with a flamethrower for my face. Oh. So it was a lot of gel, like, the gel in my face and my body. I had a lot of layers in me, and I was like, well, if this is not worth it. So yeah, it was a good experience, and I think that's the coolest I ever done. Yeah, it was 5 months, and unfortunately, it's not gonna come out, but it was a good experience for me.
We were all brokenhearted for you, because we were like, oh yay, we were excited to see you out there doing your thing, and then of course, but you never know, they might take that off the shelf.
Maybe.
You never know. Demetrius said, Evelyne, you have to talk about that one stunt that you did that I told him about, so I told him I promised I would. Right before the strike started, as you know, we were on strike. I haven't worked since June. I got called back for my first job though, yay. Yeah. First job I lost, and first job that came back, so that was great. Fireburn that I did. I can't talk about the production because it hasn't come out yet, but we train, and a lot of the things that, you have to train a lot. You have to train a lot. And I fortunately did some training with fire, and I loved it. I loved the training. Then I got called to do a real fire on a set, and I had no idea how big I was going to be. It was such a big fire. I was a ball of flames, and everyone that sees it, they go, oh, it was that big. And everything went incredibly well, but I do want to say that things can happen, things can go wrong. Even though the fire team was incredible, I didn't feel an ounce of heat on my body. But at the last minute, the actress decided she wanted to take her hood off. Very last minute. So I had to go without a hood. And I was lit up. And only because the wind blew at that very second, it went whap right across my face. And it gave me a nice scar for the rest of my life. But I'm okay with that because I have an epic fire burn. So you know, when we talk about stunts, there are times when we're just running across the road. Sometimes we hit the ground. Sometimes it's, you know, easier times. But stunts is not a joke. It can be dangerous at times. You know, we have, it's a lot of fun, it's very rewarding, but it can be very, very dangerous at times. So I can't wait till that fire burn comes out. I really can't wait till that fire burn comes out. I'm really excited about it. So I told Demetrius I would talk about that since I'm running the panel. Going back to work again, what's something that has made you feel, you said we talked about the uncomfortableness. We already talked about that. What about, let's talk about training other than martial arts, because you all are martial artists, but you also do other things. I remember when Emely and I, we did stunt driving training together. So let's talk about some of the training that you do so that they can consider, maybe they already have something in their wheelhouse. Maybe they already know, maybe some of them have gymnastics band. Let's talk about some of the training. Are we doing good on time? Okay, great. Let's talk about some of the training.
So my background's martial arts and gymnastics. I didn't do I did gymnastics growing up too, but my main background was martial arts. Well, I'm gonna actually talk about a training experience I got during the pandemic. Stunt coordinator Walter Garcia down in Atlanta at the Enzo facility ended up putting out like a call to people getting started in the industry, because my career actually kind of started in 2020 and then everything shut down. We had the pandemic, and there was nothing going on. So he ended up selecting 20 up-and-coming stunt performers to come train with him. And it was definitely a blessing, because even though my background's martial arts, karate specifically, we got to learn wrestling, we got to do high falls with him, we got just basically like a crash course and everything you need to know. And not only that, he trained us really hard. We got in really great shape, and it was for 5 weeks. So it was like an incredible experience. So as far as training goes, that's probably the biggest highlight in my training that I've gotten. And I was super grateful for that experience.
And Amanda, just talk to the crowd about like what kind of skill sets they might possibly have. Like I got started as a stunt performer because of my water skills. That's the very first stunt I ever did 11 years ago, was underwater stunts, because I'm a strong water person. Are we doing good?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things people can have a background in. Dance is an excellent background. Water surfing, skateboarding, karate, boxing. People who do all like paragliding and anything high fall related, I guess circus backgrounds, things like that. So there's a lot of different things people can have a background in that would translate nice into stunts. And sometimes if you sit and think of it, there's a lot more than just, most people say, oh, I do karate, I did gymnastics, I did dance, but there's a lot of other things that can definitely be useful, rock climbing. You know, so.
That's wonderful. Emely, do you have any ideas that you can give them, like what backgrounds they could have? Oh, you know what, you've got the mic, Vicky. Vicky, you take it. What? Yeah, take it.
Me?
I was going to Vicky.
Okay. All right, got it, guys. We got this. So I think it's, like I said earlier, it's important to be well-rounded and versatile. Coming into it, my background was martial arts, so that's what I thought that was going to be the basis of my stunt career. I was totally wrong, because the amount of movies that I've done traditional martial arts in are pretty sure 0. No. But, I mean, there's a lot of fight stuff, but you have to learn how to adapt to the different styles of fighting. It's not just, you know, martial arts, because that's my background. It's like street fighting, it's boxing, it's hitting the ground, it's, you know, if, like, the more skills that you acquire and the more you know how to do, the better, or the more you're going to work, basically. The better your career is going to be, I think, in my opinion. So, like, me personally, I mean, I've trained all different types of fighting. I've trained hitting the ground a lot, as we all have. Wire work, air ram, ratchet, rappelling, fire stunts, car stunts. Yeah, yeah. I love driving. I just did a rally racing thing in May at Team O'Neill in New Hampshire, and that was like amazing because I had I've done some stunt driving courses and stuff like that, but that opened up stunt driving to a whole different level for me. And like riding motorcycles, bikes, scooters, like literally, scuba diving, swimming, all of that I think is like really important. And if you don't like certain things, then don't take those jobs. Like, make it known that you don't. Like, I know some people that are amazing martial artists, but they will not drive on set, even if it's like pulling into the driveway. Like, they just know that they don't want to be a driver, and that's great. And they still work a lot, but they know like their limits and they know their boundaries, and like, so you just have to learn different skills and get in as much training as you can.
Excellent, excellent. Emily, do you have any, just keep it short though, please, because we have very little time. So, just a couple of things that you think.
It's just my theory. It's just anything that you see on screen that looks like it could be a stunt that you have a passion or interest in is worth training for. That's my mantra for all the things I do, because of all the things they've listed, I think I do like 90-something% of what they just listed. And I've been hired for weird jobs, like pretend to play soccer, pretend to play basketball, pretend to dance. I've done all of them, and these are things I would never think they would hire me to do stunts for, but they couldn't find anybody else. And I was like, well, I did that in high school, so that's how I worked. So everything that they just said aside, if you see it on TV and it's something you have a diehard passion for, it's probably worth training for.
Yeah. Alejandra? Emily, do you have any?
I think it's just like behind all those like trainings and whatever you want to focus on, it's just discipline behind that, and consistency. It's like, don't pretend that I'm gonna take boxing classes just 1-2 times and you have that skill, right? You have to like be dedicated about it, and like it's fine if you choose 1-2 skills and then just work like consistently about like in that skill. I think that's the most important thing. It's just like discipline.
Yeah, she's so right about that, because I know that there are people that try to bulldoze through the industry, and they will, I hate to use this term, fake it till they make it.
Yeah.
And then you catch them on set, and then you're like, oh no, why did you take this job? It's, we do have to wrap up, but I'm so grateful for these women. Oh no, we're good? Oh, we're still good. Alejandra, talk about some of the stuff that you train in, because it's super important.
Well, I do mostly like wire training, because I think that that's the next level of stunt, to know how to work on set when you are not on the wire. Because in that way you will understand better what they are doing, and when you are on the wire, then it's gonna be more easier for you. And I think that the wires here in New York, there are like a bunch of like teams that they practice. I personally practice and train with Roberto Lopez, also with Frank. So it's really important also to have that spirit of learning, because it's not, we do falls and everything, but it's also important to go about and think about the physics back on those wire, like how that can work for you, or how you can perform better, because if you don't understand, you cannot ride the wire. So that's also something that is important to train.
That's right. Wait, Emily, I'm sorry. Another thing that's super, super important is relationships. And as I was saying, we're friends here. Emily knows my skill sets. I know Emily's skill sets. I know Amanda's skill sets. I know Victoria's. I know this Emily's. I know Alejandra's. And often, if I get a call from a coordinator, it might not be a job for me, but they'll say, hey, Ev, I'm in a rush. I'm on set right now. Could you help me out? Do you know this? Oh, I sure do. I keep a Rolodex of my friends first and foremost in my head. And even if I'm not friends with them, if I know they've got the skill, I will suggest them. It's through the stunt performers that you get a lot of your work, because the coordinators are so busy that they often will go, hey, do you know somebody who can do this? Or, yeah. So it's really good to have relationships in this business. So that'll be one of the things that I give away is relationships, keep good relationships with people. Like Amanda said, you never know who you're in the elevator with, and it's super important to make sure that people like you, that you have a likable personality, and that will get you in the door, and then of course from there you have to bring it. Go ahead, Emily.
Oh, so we talked about performance stunt training. There's also technical stunt training that I think is super helpful. Learning how to set up a fire burn, for example, learning how to rig, learning how to hold camera, just things that are on the technical side that somebody might know how to edit footage, could get you on a team, could get you more work, or it's just good to know. It makes your performance better, because as an editor, when I'm in the editing room and I realize these performance mistakes happening, when I'm back performing again, I make sure these things don't happen as a performer. Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing to look into training for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Filmmaking is such a great thing to have as a stunt performer. I think we all edit. Yes. Amanda, do you have any thoughts on that? Any more? I know we already went over some, but there's always so many things to do. Just any questions from the crowd? I'd love to offer anybody any questions for these lovely humans up here. Anyone? Yeah, come on over.
I walk too far.
There you go. We're wrapping up?
I can take it around.
Oh, thank you very much.
So my question is, in your stunt career, what is a stunt that you would really love to do? And what is something that you're like, oh, I don't want to touch that, or I'm never doing that again, right?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of something that I haven't done that I want to do. I mean, I just love to fight, so maybe if eventually, I do some small test fights and stuff like that we've choreographed, but maybe be able to eventually do that on a bigger scale, to the point where, I'm a fight coordinator on a bigger show. I would really love that. And something that I would be like, absolutely not. Well, I guess that would be just something that's out of my wheelhouse at this moment. Something like skydiving. I've never done it before, so I would never take that job. I have had moments where something I knew wasn't in my skill set, I turned the work down. I'd rather, have my reputation be, okay, when she shows up, she knows what she's doing, rather than take a job that I don't have the skills for. And skydiving, I've never done, so.
So I think a stunt that I would love to do is either a pipe ramp or like a gnarly car crash of some sort. I did Corey Eubanks' car crash seminar last year, and it was awesome. You're in the car for it rolling over, but the next step is driving it into that position. So yeah, that, and just car stunts in general. I mean, I've done a lot of training and have been able to do a lot of cool stuff in training, but I would love to do that on set. And then as far as a stunt that I wouldn't do, I don't know that there's much that I wouldn't do.
I saw her do one that I was like, I'm not doing that.
I don't know. I love this industry, and I love all different aspects of it. So I think that as long as it were safe, that I'd be down.
I'm dying to get hit by a car or hit something real damn hard with a car. I'm not saying that I'm at the level where I can do the second one. I think getting hit by a car has been offered, but my stunt got canceled twice. It was so unfortunate. I was on set already. But yeah, no, I would love to be able to crash a car. What I would never do, and this is not because I'm not tough, I cannot stand the idea of wearing a full mascot-y, prosthetic-y, latex suit, and you can't see. You can only breathe out of a straw for 18 hours. You're in the dark in heat for however many hours they choose to put you, and you can't come out because it took them 6 hours to put you in one. So that I don't think I would ever want to do.
Yeah, definitely same for me. I kind of respect fire. I think I don't want to be all full of fire. I think I'm scared of that. And something that I would love to do is some water stunts. That one, it's kind of opposite, but yeah, I think the water is make me think it's something so hard, so difficult, but also you need to control yourself. because it's about reading. So I think.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a little bit more bougie. No. I would love to stunt acting and just do action and act because I feel like that's take me out of my comfort zone. We're talking about that. So yeah, I would just like to lead in an acting role. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I think that our time is up. I'm not sure. I think so. Thank you so much to all of you for coming to listen to their stories, and thank you for listening to their stories and just showing them support. Where can they find you? Just quickly tell them where they could find you. Your Instagrams.
You can find me at Kick It Like Cass on YouTube and Instagram,
What's
and
up?
Amanda Cass on Facebook.
My Instagram is Victoria Lee Stunts.
My Instagram is Tung Action, TUNG.action.
I don't remember my IG, but I will give you a business card. So yeah.
Instagram, Emely Cart, POR.
Give it up for them.